Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Ochoa, and I will be presenting today on the power of play for adults. Thank you for joining us on this Lunch and Learn. We will be going through all of the slides with questions available at the end. That section will not be recorded. We will stop the recording once we are through with our slides. This presentation will also be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so look for it there as well if you are unable to catch any of it right now. As mentioned, my name is Alex Ochoa. I am the intake and outreach manager for Family Service of Glencoe. I have been here with FSG for a little over 3 years. I have worked in a variety of different settings prior to this, and so I have experience working with clients of all ages in both English and Spanish. I have graduated with a master's in social work from Loyola University Chicago. Prior to that, I went to Coker University in South Carolina, where I received a degree in Spanish and a specialization in social work. I have been very passionate about working with all children, adults, all the whole age span. And one of my specialties is working with the younger population with trauma. I love working in different settings, using a variety of theories, but my favorite is working with children using CBT. I also work with adults, which is why I'm also passionate about learning about how play is going to be able to help us. And talk about that, we will then go into what is play, what it is that we think about when we hear the word play. And after talking to a few people recently in creating this presentation, it's come to light that most of us seem to think about children playing, laughing, running, toys when we think of the word play. Now, what would it mean for you to play as an adult? Because that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And we're going to also learn about the importance that play has in our lives. We tend to not play as often. We somehow along the way got convinced that to play is to waste time, to be unproductive, to not get something good or positive out of the activity. However, more and more research has suggested that healthy playtime leads to healthy adulthood, that we as adults need, in a way, to have recess as well. The question for this is why? And as Dr. Stuart Brown from the National Institute for Play says, we need to play because it helps with our social well-being, it helps with our health. It also offers us the ability to be able to engage with others in more relaxed ways. It helps reduce our stress, it helps with our brain, it helps in many different ways. And we'll be talking a lot more about what those different ways are in the next few minutes. For now, we are going to focus on how play offers a sense of engagement. And the purpose of play is going to be to take you out of time, kind of like do an activity that you lose yourself into, where you don't keep track of the performative actions of other activities. So, what would count as play for adults? And as we mentioned earlier, a lot of us seem to think that play is going to be poise, is going to be chasing something. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. Um, Adults often think of it as um, a specific activity with rules and things like that. However, play for adults can look as simple as painting with no goal of what that activity is going to accomplish. Um, Random dancing in your kitchen, hiking, gardening, or exploring outside. Um, Joking with coworkers, playing music, trying something silly or new, playing a game, doing some improv, or participating in a creative hobby. I was talking recently to someone who also kind of forgot what the importance of play was, and we were discussing what it is that they do in order to lose themselves in something that makes them feel re-energized afterwards. And one of the activities they do is knitting. They sit and they have a variety of different yarn that they are going to just create something out of. And it becomes their activity, their way to unwind, their way to like spend some time up with themselves, helps them relax and be able to feel more full of energy, more full of patience, more full of like positive feelings afterwards. And that's amazing. That's what those activities are supposed to bring for us. It's supposed to take the stress away, and help increase our creativity. There are many different benefits to playing as an adult. One of those, as we had slightly mentioned before, is the stress reduction and emotional regulation. Play reliably lowers our psychological stress markers and it helps us reset emotionally. Activities that engage the body and the attention help to reduce cortisol and promote faster recovery from stress. It also engaging in playful activities helps us cope better with stress and feel better emotionally, more balanced, feel more satisfied with our lives. And this then will in turn help us with better problem solving. Um, Playfulness is strongly associated with positive emotions and effective well being. In creating and doing this, it will help us be able to feel better about ourselves, have more energy, be more open to new experiences. Another benefit of adult play is enhanced cognitive flexibility and better brain health. Um, Adult play helps us reshape our brain. It increases the neural complexity in our prefrontal cortex, involves decision making, adaptability, and impulse control. It also increases dopamine linked, as activities like this will help us like circuit support, increase the dopamine levels in our brain in a positive manner, which will then support learning, and patience that is then correlated to being able to navigate new and uncertain situations. Playfulness also supports our cognitive health in older adults. There is a reason why we encourage older adults to play puzzles, to do word searches, to do all of these activities that are relaxing and that help increase their cognitive health as well. Another one of the benefits is also improved creativity and problem solving. Um, it helps us be able to think through different situations. So engaging in playful activities like playing a game, doing improv, or just moving and playing around with a puzzle or some sort of hands-on activity, it will activate parts of our brain that uses the same neural circuits used for complex problem solving. But we're doing it in a way that is fun, that is creative, that is playful, and we're not keeping track of like, are we learning a lot? Are we like meeting the expectations? It's more an activity where we lose ourselves and we're still practice those areas. We also are able to then have greater resilience and better coping skills. Um, we are better able to handle stress. We're able to practice adaptability because as we're tinkering with something, as we're playing a new game, as we're practicing something that is creative and fun, there might be things that don't go the way that we expected them to. And because of that, it forces us to then look for other options, adapt to, oh, this is what I have available. This is what I'm going to use. Our creativity increases, our resilience also does as well. Um, our emotional intelligence and the ability to manage emotions in social situations are increased by playing. And all these activities are not always going to be something that we do one on one. We will also be engaging with others when we play. And so it increases then our social connection, our relationships become strengthened. Social play builds shared emotions, emotional resources, and strengthens bonds across different age groups. It is also linked to social bonding is also a core well-being outcome. So we create relationships with other positive interactions that then feed and help us realize that we can do it in other areas as well. It increases our ability to socialize and be more willing to enter other social interactions because we have positive practices in this. It also creates a sense of autonomy. It helps our self-esteem with our self-expression. Um, and that's where the creative play comes, whether we decide to paint something, to build something, to take something apart and then try to put it back together. It is building on those areas as well as we're self-expressing. We are working on doing things that makes us feel more certain about ourselves. Now, when we think of play, when we think of the activities that we like to do, a lot of times we think of games or sports that can be pretty strict and very structured. But it is also important to include unstructured fun and structured play in our process because it will allow us to let go of expectations, and learning to go of expectations when we're playing will then help our flexibility in other situations like at work or with family, with other peers that we interact with our children. It will make it easier for us to be able to know how to let go of certain expectations. Um, Unstructured play, it's the kind without rules, without a goal, without any specific outcomes. It is especially powerful for adults, and it is meant to be purposeless, voluntary, and simply pleasurable. You do it for its own sake of doing the activity, not to improve something, not to achieve something specific, but it's simply for the fun of it. It's supposed to feel good. It's supposed to be light, freeing in the moment, and something that we choose to do freely. So not directed or evaluated by anyone else. Some of the examples of this can be like when you're at home and if you listen to music and then just randomly feeling like you want to dance and you take a break from whatever it is you're doing to dance, whether it's in your kitchen, in your living room, just around the house, it's great practice for it. Or making up silly voices when you're playing with your children. Um, Sharing a joke with a coworker or a friend or a partner. Or playing with your pet, like taking a break to just play with them in a goofy, just improvised way. Um, with creative play, we can also, or unstructured fun can also be creative. And so it can be like doodling, playing a bit of music, um, creating something with Play-Doh, because Play-Doh is not just for children. We're allowed to play with it too. Um, or And a lot of us have items around us that are like uh, like we can play with our hands that are like um, very usable for us to just play around with our fingers, to improvise it, to like explore different tactiles, textures, different materials, just something that we can explore other senses as well. Um, Active play and unstructured fun can restore our sense of freedom and can help us feel a lot less restricted in our environment. It will definitely interrupt perfectionism because we're not planning it. We're not saying at this time, at this hour, like on this day, in this place, we're going to do this. It's simply just spontaneous. It also helps us reconnect with curiosity. It helps us tolerate uncertainty because we're not playing every single moment of it. And so we have to deal with the unexpected. And practicing it in a fun manner will help us later on in situations where we don't know what to expect and have no control over them. Um, and it's supposed to bring joy. That's the most important part in this activity. It's supposed to be a joyful activity, something that we truly enjoy. We're going to talk now about active play versus passive entertainment. And something to keep in mind is that they both have a part in our life. However, they both have different effects on our psychological well-being. Um, Active play stimulates both mentally, physically, and also socially, actually. While passive entertainment suits or distracts you. While they was said they both have a place in our life, they do not affect us the same way. Active play requires more participation, more creativity, more movement, or for us to make decisions. Some of the activities that we may think of when active play is playing a board game, playing a sport, um, a creative hobby like we talked about earlier, like knitting or painting figurines or um, paint by numbers. That can be pretty relaxing and fun as well. Um, it also affects us in a way where it can improve our cognitive flexibility and creativity, boosts our mood, it strengthens social connection, and also supports brain health and resilience. Um, Passive entertainment on the is slightly different because we more consume the activity rather than participate in it. Some of the examples for this can be watching TV, scrolling on social media, it can be listening to a podcast, or watching others play a game. Whereas it can also help us to relax or distract us. It has more of a higher risk for um, depression, for other for dissociation between ourselves and the and society and our peers, our family, our partners. Um, in small doses, it can be helpful if we just limiting, but that would be an activity that we would want to actually limit, have only a specific amount of time that we spend doing it. One show or 15-30 minutes on social media at a time, and no more than that. It depends on our daily life, of course, but it is limit. Those activities are meant to be a little bit more limited, because it doesn't create um, cognitive flexibility, it doesn't create social connection, it doesn't allow for the sparks of creativity and the feeling of and feeling energized that active play does help with. Now, there are some barriers that we as adults can encounter when wanting to practice play or wanting to play. Um, some of them are the fact that we live in a culture that where productivity is a highlight. It's very important. Everyone seems to want to be as productive as possible. We're taught that the fun must be earned after we are productive. Like, oh, after you get all your work done, then you can practice something fun. But what if we reframed it more as playing is feel and not a reward? And by that we mean that kind of like when we were kids, we would go to school and there would be a break where we played recess, right? Like everyone will take a break, they would play, they would run around, and then afterwards you go back to class and somehow you were more better able to pay attention, to follow their lessons, to be engaged. And that is why play for adults is also important. It's not something that we should work on earning at the end of the day, on being able to say, oh, I've done all I needed to do. Now I can relax. Now I can do something fun. Now I can play. We should be able to take a break in the middle of the day, do something fun, and then be able to go back to what we were doing before. Framing how we use our breaks throughout the day to include play is going to be very helpful. And later on, we're going to be talking about how to reintroduce play as an adult, whether it is in our daily lives, our work environments, with others, engaging with others in it as well. We'll talk more about that later on. Another barrier is that sometimes we fear we're going to look silly, that we other people are going to judge us, that if we do something, everybody else is going to be like, why are they doing that? Like, don't they know that they look weird? But play requires for us to be vulnerable. It requires for us to feel secure in ourselves without letting others' opinion affect whether something is fun for us or not. Um, because vulnerability will also help us build connection. It will help us feel that others who see it, who also enjoy those things, will then feel more free to be themselves, feel more free to do that as well. And then we'll they'll probably join us or will have others more being more able to be vulnerable in their own selves. And that helps us feel more accepted as well, more connected to the others that are working on doing this as well. Um, Another barrier is that we think we have lost our imagination, that we are no longer able to play and be creative or imagine things like we were when we were kids. As we mentioned earlier, adulthood at some point convinces us that imaginative play is no longer a capability of ours. We forget whether were those things that we used to play, whether it was a make-believe world where dinosaurs were real or something similar when we were kids. But now as adults, we're still capable of imagination. We can reframe this by starting with what brought us joy when we were children, and how can we reinvent it as adults? One of the things that I really used to love doing when I was a kid was coming up with potions. I had a lab. I would mix things. Now, the way that I have reinvented it as an adult is baking because I get to mix things. I get to be creative in the flavors that I use, be creative in the ingredients, and then something delicious comes out. But it reminds me of when I was a kid and I used to love having a lab and making potions and seeing what we could create. Now I put it, I, I play the same thing almost, but in the kitchen and I get yummy goods afterwards. So it can be something like that. Um, but we also have to make sure that as we are working through things that we are cognizant of whether burnout and feeling overwhelmed is also a barrier that is there for us. Whether we feel too tired to play. Um, but realizing that play can help us restore that energy, that it doesn't necessarily going to drain us, that there's different ways in which we can play and feel more invigorated afterwards. Um, but it's challenging our brain, challenging our thoughts to realize that whereas we might be thinking, I am too tired to play, starting little by little, not going a full on like an hour, 2 hours of play, but starting with 15 minutes and then seeing how that makes you feel. And then maybe the next time it won't be 15 minutes, will be like maybe 30 minutes. And realizing that little by little will be challenging and reframing the way we think about play and whether we are too tired to actually play. So, as we mentioned, reintroducing play into our daily lives can sometimes seem like a challenge. And so we should work on like starting small. Like we were just talking, instead of thinking, oh, we're going to have a full on like week or month of doing this, it's more about it um, been a 15-minute break here, a 5-minute break there. Um, just all of a sudden you remember of a song and taking those 5 minutes to just either sing it or dance to it or whatever it is, but it's just a short break. So something small that will then invite for more after. We also can trying something new. Um, the fastest way to reignite play is to disrupt our routine with something small, something new. Um, and there's different ways to doing it, right? We can do something that we are really good at already. Um, where, but introducing a new tool to it. So it can be like, oh, I'm kind of good at hula hoops. I'm kind of good at jumping. I'm kind of good at something similar to that, something that involves a little bit of movement. And then trying something that is going to help us improve that, um, adding a new. So maybe I can try um, oh, dancing. We can try something more like an improv room, um, or using clay, sand if if we like to work with our hands. Um, it is something that we have thought of before that we might think, oh, we're not very good at that, but adding something of that we already are kind of good at to make it a little bit more easier to engage in. We can also, like we mentioned before, is the making space for unstructured time. Um, and then this is important that we schedule some time that we leave blank. We don't um, identify it as this 30 minutes are going to be for me to read, this 30 minutes are going to be for me to walk. But it is going to be like these 30 minutes are for me to spend in a way that I feel at the moment. And it can be by instead of spending these 30 minutes that I used to spend sitting in front of the TV, instead of doing that, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to see where it takes me in the neighborhood. And that's the unstructured part. It's just, I'm going to go for a walk. I have 30 to 60 minutes to do it. But I'm not going to create a path. I'm not going to go, oh, I already know. If I go this way, this way, and this way, and this way, it's going to be about 2 miles and that'll be great. No, we just turn wherever we want to turn. We stop and look at whatever we want to stop during that walk. You can go into probably a different part of your neighborhood or like areas that you already have been in, but without a set route of where you're going to be going, where you're going to be turning. Or being back home at a specific time. It's going to be taking advantage of those 30 to 60 minutes that you have already scheduled out on your calendar to just walk and see where your body takes you. Losing yourself in the senses that are around you, whether it is that you are at a park, that you are in your neighborhood, that you are in a specific like hiking path, but losing yourself in that place. Taking in all the smells, the sounds, the things that you can see. So using all of your senses to be present in that environment. Um, we're also able to bring play, and we talked about the way that play creates connections. And so bringing play and engaging others into it is going to be a great way to remain engaged in society, to improve our relationships with others. And this can be like something that you can do with people that you love, people that you spend time with. It can be like a weekly game night. It can be something that you try together. It can be telling stories, telling jokes. It can be cooking together without a recipe, inventing a new game, building something without a guide. Matching their energy for a moment, like seeing, let's take 15 minutes and see how we can be silly. So doing a little bit of improv with your friends. But we can also bring the play into work. And I know, like, but you're at work. What do you mean you're gonna play while you're at work? And it doesn't necessarily look like, oh, let's bring out a board game in the middle of the day. No, but it can be um, talking to your coworker for 5 minutes and saying, how many words can we think about in this moment? Ooh, let's doodle for a few minutes. It can be let's stand, stretch, and walk around a little bit. It can be also brought in as um, something, a meditation that starts in the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, or going towards the end of the day. And like we talked about before, it doesn't have to be a very long period of time. It can just be 5, 10 minutes. And that is what's going to help in the situations to, you know, bring change your mood, change others' mood, improve the way that we feel while we are at work. The core message for today is that play has to spark joy, create more curiosity, increase our imagination and connection with others, help us see more about our emotions, learn about our emotions, um, and help us be our most authentic selves. Play is going to keep your brain healthy and adaptable. It is going to stimulate creativity, problem solving, and coping flexibility in ways routine life doesn't. It's going to be one of the few activities that lights up multiple parts of your brain at once. And so we want to practice more of that. It's also going to be a great antidote for stress. It lowers tension, it interrupts rumination, and gives our nervous system a reset, which adults that play cope better with pressure and bounce back faster in new situations. It also strengthens our connection, as we talked about throughout the presentation. It shared laughter, silliness, and spontaneity deepen our relationships far more effectively than serious bonding efforts. Play is social glue. It also helps us restore our sense of self. It connects you with curiosity and imagination and joy. And those parts of you that sometimes get muted because of our sense of responsibility, productivity, and routine. If you take something away from today, let it be that play is how adults stay emotionally alive, mentally flexible, socially connected, and resilient in a world that constantly pushes them towards seriousness and efficiency. Play is important. Thank you for having joined us. FSG has been here for more than 100 years, helping individuals, families, and organizations thrive by providing mental health and social services to the members of the Glencoe community. We provide therapy for individuals, couples, families, and we work with everyone in the age spectrum, as little as, well, prenatal as well as high up as you need. We provide trainings, workshops. We can come into your environment, whether you are in a church, school, another community organization. We'd be happy to work with you on creating a presentation that works specifically for your employees. Um, and then, of course, we also provide parenting um, consultations. We have tech-savvy consultations as well. We have senior programs and a variety of other services that we are happy to provide to anyone in the community. Um, we are going to go into questions and discussion now, but thank you for having joined us, and hopefully this is a helpful presentation for you.